3, 2, 1.
Hello, NFHS soccer fans, and welcome to Plattsburgh, New York. It's a big matchup here. This is the championship matchup in Class B girls soccer action. We're at the beautiful sports complex on the campus of Plattsburgh State University as the Beekmantown Eagles will take on the Cougars of Northeastern Clinton. The Cougars of Northeastern Clinton got to this game playing earlier this week. They won a hard-fought game by defeating the Chiefs of Saranac 4-3 in penalty kicks. It was a game that could have gone either way, and the Cougars came on top. And the big gun for the Cougars that game was Marley Sample, who has a team-high 20 points thanks to 7 goals and 6 assists. And in the pipes, they have Abby Racine, who has 5 shutouts this year. The number 1 seeded Eagles of Beekmantown made their way to the championship game, and they had a little easier time taking out the Hornets of Plattsburgh 5-2. And Beekmantown comes in with a high-powered offense. They have scored 46 goals this year, and they've been stingy on the defensive end, only giving up 13. And the Cougars come in with a total of 27 goals, and they've given up only 17 goals. But the Cougars are coming in as the visiting team. The Eagles are the home team, and as you will see, the Eagles have their all-red uniforms on. And a couple of years ago, they changed the uniform situation because the folks were saying, if we don't travel, we see our team, and they have the white uniforms with the school colors as lettering, but we really like to see our school colors, so they switched it. So really, the away uniforms are now the home uniforms. So Beekmantown has their all-red uniforms with silver lettering, and Beekmantown is only about 8 miles, 10 miles south of Plattsburgh, and the Cougars are about 21 miles south of Plattsburgh. They're right on the Canadian border.
They're north of Plattsburgh.
Oh, I'm sorry, north of Plattsburgh. Yeah, they're both north of Plattsburgh, but they're right on the border, and there's Abby Racine.
Number 1, Kaya McComb.
And number 1, Kaya McComb, as they introduce the players in center field.
Number 9, Allison Gregoire.
And Allison Gregoire, the senior.
Number 10, Bailey LaFountain.
Bailey LaFountain, the 8th grader, coming on as an 8th grader, is an impact player.
Number 11, Audriana Hollister.
The 10th grader, Audriana Hollister.
Number 13, Marley Sample.
Marley Sample, the 11th grader, is their big gun.
Number 15, Leah Cologne.
Lee Coulomb, the 10th grader.
Number 16, Alexia Cronkrite.
The junior, Alexia Concrete, number 16.
Number 17, Elizabeth Prairie.
And the sophomore, number 17, Elizabeth Prairie.
And number 18, Bryn Sample.
And the junior, Bryn Sample.
I forgot number 12.
And number 12 is...
Number 12, Brinley LaFountain.
And number 12, Brinley LaFountain. And the goalie?
We got
the starting lineup for the Eagles, coached by Team Burasek. Let's meet them. Number 1, goalkeeper, Bailey Carter.
Goalkeeper, Bailey Carter.
Number 4, Jenna Trombley.
Senior Jenna Trombley.
Number 7, Danielle Dyke.
Number 7, the junior Danielle Dyke.
Number 8, Avery Scott.
Senior Avery Scott, number 8.
Number 9, Avery Durgan.
Senior Avery Durgan, number 9.
Number 11, Anna Drapeau.
Senior Anna Drapeau, number 11.
Number 12, Haley Hurwitz.
The senior Haley Hurwitz.
Number 15, Madison Tatro.
Senior Madison Tatro, number 15.
Number 17, Olivia Scott.
Number 17, the senior Olivia Scott.
Number 20, Sophie King.
Junior, number 20, Sophie King.
And number 22, Kira Reagan.
The sophomore, number 22, Kira Reagan.
Tonight's officials are Jamie Labarge, Jerry Kowalowski, and Gary Kaiser.
Gary Kaiser, Jamie Labarge, and
at this time,
Jerry
Kowalowski.
The singing of the national anthem by Michaela Perry.
Oh, say can you see why the dawn's early light what so proudly held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets echo, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And what a beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Eagles, Cougars, Championship Friday on the campus of Plattsburgh State. And we'll be back in a couple minutes after these commercials.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And we're back to the sports complex at Plattsburgh High School, ready to start this championship game. The Cougars will be going from your left to right, and the Beekmantown Eagles from right to left. And weather could play a factor right now. You may be looking at the camera and saying, well, there is no weather, but we have had some high-powered winds today. And it's blowing across the field. So the only real advantage to that point is if you have a corner kick on this side of the field, sending it across. But if you're on the far side of the field, it's going to be tough to get that ball to the net. So wind will play a factor in this game, or at least it should play a factor in this game. Temperatures are pretty good. We're in the 40s right now, but it's the wind. As you can see, the flag across the way going back and forth pretty well. Calvin Castine is on the camera for NFHS. I'm Joey Trombley. I'll be bringing you the play-by-play and the commentary today. And for the Northeastern girls,
let's mention Jed Thone while we're at it here.
Who's that now?
Jed Thone is running the graphics.
And of course, we got Jed Thone in the background here. He's our computer guy, and he's one keeping us, trying to make us look good. Sometimes that can be a little more difficult, a little easier said than done. But the Cougars and the Eagles have matched up twice this year during the regular season, and it's Beekmantown winning the one contest 1-0, and then winning the second contest 3-0. And Beekmantown comes into this tournament as the number 1 seed, but they're also ranked number 11 in the state of New York. The Cougars have a record of 9-5-2. They're the third-ranked team coming into this tournament, and they are honorable mention at the state level. And the game is on, and quickly the Cougars send it into the defensive zone of Beekmantown, but it goes too far out, and it's going to be Sophie King with the throw, and then the ball comes into the far side, controlled by the Eagles. The ball gets onto the feet of Kiara Reagan. She sends the ball forward. The ball was defended well by the Cougars, and the ball was pushed back by Marley Sample. Now at midfield, Sample comes to the near sideline trying to find the feet of Elizabeth Prairie, the sophomore, but the ball was taken away by Danielle Dyke, and that was a foul on the Cougars. Jamie Labarge is right there. So the Eagles will get this free kick halfway into their defensive territory, and we're going to have Jenna Trombley taking the kick left-footed. She sends the ball forward. It bounces off of Brinley LaFountain, and LaFountain with the ball now gives the ball up over to Marley Sample. They come to the near side. It's picked up by Danielle Dyke. Dyke will try to go center, back to midfield, now cleared forward, and the ball goes off of the Cougar defender, and it goes onto the feet of Adriana Hollister. She sends the ball up to the far side. Cougars now controlling play is Bailey LaFountain. LaFountain has some room, gives the ball up over to Sample. Onto the far side, she pushes the ball back. Up defensively for the Cougars is Leah Coulomb. She sends the ball forward, but it's picked up by Haley Hurwitz. Hurwitz has space, sends a through ball over to Danielle Dyke. Dyke working her way down the line as she has some room. Now she'll cut it toward the 18. Dyke looking to serve the ball, still has the ball, is being respected by the defense of Leah Coulomb of the Cougars, and that ball goes off of the Cougars. So we have a corner kick for Beekmantown, and it'll be the near post. And going out to take the kick for the Eagles is Kiara Reagan, the sophomore. So Coach Bursick has a lot of faith in the sophomore. She sends the ball. A nice ball goes through the box, goes off of the head of Olivia Scott, far side. Now picked up by the Cougars. It's Elizabeth Prairie. She pushes it to the outside. Here come the Cougars at midfield, now crossing midfield. It is the Cougars. Bailey Fountain sends the ball forward, the 8th grader. The ball was cleared on to the outside by Haley Hurwitz, out of bounds, throwing for Cougars. We have 37-25. We're early here in the first half on Championship Friday on the campus of Plattsburgh State, the Cougars and the Eagles. Here come the Cougars. The winner of this game will move on into regional play. Cougars controlling, comes over to the near side, trying to find the feet of Bryn Sample. Sample gets a shot off, and that goes right into the hands of Bailey Carter, the senior. She stood her ground, makes the save, and now punts the ball. She kind of slips off her foot, and it's number 10. There's a long shot by number 10, Bailey LaFountain, and LaFountain, the 8th grader, had the wherewithal to try to get that shot off quickly on the missed punt from Bailey Carter, but Carter was there, and Beekmantown dodges a potential disaster of giving up a first goal by the play of Bailey Carter after the mistake. The ball to the far side, deep in the Cougar territory. The ball comes up, now controlled by the Cougars, onto the feet of Sample. Sample is their big gun with 7 goals and 5 assists with her 19 points for the Cougars, and they're going to have to watch her this game. But the Cougars have to watch out for Avery Durgan for 19 goals and 17 assists. Durgan is number 9, so keep an eye on Durgan. She's just outside the 18 right now, center of the field, throwing for Beekmantown. The ball comes into the feet of Avery Scott. Scott goes to the far side, trying to find Kiara Reagan. She sends it forward, and the Cougar defense is there. The ball is sent forward onto the feet of Elizabeth Prairie. Prairie turns, comes back to Sample. Sample has some space. She tries to come to the near sideline, but defensively Anna Drapo's there. Drapo gets the ball up over to the feet of Kiara Reagan. Reagan goes forward, knocked away by Brittany LaFountain. Far side, Beekmantown gets a shot off. It's defended, trying to be cleared out. It is cleared out. Stepping up for the Cougars is number 17. That was Elizabeth Prairie, but the ball is now knocked back forward or backwards off the end line. So a goal kick coming up for the Eagles, for the Cougars of Northeastern Clinton. And the shots on net right now favor the Cougars 2-1. We're about 5 minutes into the first half. Cougars have controlled the advantage would be the Cougars in the first 5 minutes, as everybody's trying to get a feel for each other out here in this championship game. The ball is cleared toward midfield, and it's picked up by Trombley. Left-footed, she sends it forward off of the feet of LaFountain, now picked up by the Eagles. It's Dyke working her way down the sideline, and we're going to have a throw-in for Beekmantown. So the ball comes in play, and now it's cleared back toward the midfield, but picked up by number 8, Scott. Scott sends the ball forward onto the feet, and there's a shot by Anna Drapo, far side, but at the 18, the ball is cleared out by Adriana Hollister to the far side, trying to find the feet of Bailey LaFountain. Ball goes out of bounds, throw-in for the Eagles. Ball comes into the play. It's on the feet of Kiara Reagan. She sends it to the open space, but it's picked up by the Cougars. Adriana Hollister sends it across the field. She now gets it on to the feet of Bryn Sample. Sample working her way down. She's being challenged by Drapo. Drapo wins that battle, gives it up to Hurwitz. Hurwitz sends the ball forward, and it's on to the feet of Danielle Dyke. Dyke working her way down. She cuts it back. Dyke looking to serve it back. She does. She gets the ball onto the feet of Scott. Scott sends the ball forward. Turning around, trying to get the shot off was Avery Durkin, but deflected off the Cougar defense. Ball is now controlled by the Eagles. The Beatmantown Eagles, it is Avery Scott having space, goes to the near sideline trying to find Danielle Dyke, but it's picked up by the Cougars. It's number 18, Bryn Sample. But nice hustle from Dyke from behind, takes the ball away from Sample, off the sideline, off the Cougars. It went off of Elizabeth Prairie. Throw in for the Eagles. Ball's in play. Cougars trying to control is Leah Coulomb. Coulomb has some space trying to get by Durgan, but deflects off and around and picked up by number 11, Drapel. Drapel has some space. Simple pass up to Durgan, but it goes on to the feet of Avery. Durgan. Durgan working her way through, trying to get a shot off. She sends it across left-footed, and nice save by Racine. She held her ground, went down to make that save on a nice hard shot by the Eagles. Ball is punted toward midfield onto the head of Bailey LaFountain. LaFountain trying to control it, goes off the sideline quickly. Ball comes into play by the Eagles. Nice pass onto the feet of, I think that was number 8, Avery Scott. Scott pushes it back. Now it's on to the feet of Drapel. Drapel pushes the ball forward. They're trying to find, she tried to find the feet of Durgan, but it gets past her. Now it's controlled by the Cougars. Going toward midfield, long pass forward, trying to find the feet of the 8th grader, LaFountain. LaFountain trying to work her way up, but she cannot control it, and it will go off the sideline. So some substitutions coming in for the Cougars. We have Emma Fredette, number 2, and then Haley Letourneau, number 14. Coming out of the game is Bryn Sample, number 18, and number 9, Allison Grigware. 31:52 left in the first half. We have no score here in this championship game. Early on, the Cougars were leading on the shot category 2-1, but Beatmantown has picked it up and had outshot the Cougars from that point 3-0, so they lead in the shot category 4-2. Ball into the defensive zone of the Eagles, and it is Marley Sample comes to the near sideline trying to get Emma Fredette, who just checked into the game, and that ball goes off of Fredette. So quickly the ball comes into play onto the feet of Provost. Provost has it taken away by McComb, or by Fredette, and the ball is sent forward off the end line. So we have a goal kick coming up for Beatmantown, and some substitutions. We have Carries James coming into the game, as well. That would be Isabel Brown coming into the game, as well as Emma McCaslin. And coming off the field is number 11 and number 17. So we have Drapo and Scott coming off for Beatmantown. The ball is controlled by Kiara Reagan. Reagan controlling, sends the ball forward, gets to the feet of Isabel Brown, who just checked into the game. She gives it back up over to Reagan. Reagan now sends the ball forward, trying to get a through ball, and that's defended well by number 1, Kaya McComb. McComb sends the ball forward, trying to find Prairie, but goes too far ahead of Prairie, cleared out by Jenna Trombley at midfield, and the ball is controlled by Isabel Brown, now taken away by the Cougars, on to the feet of Sample. Sample one times the ball over to Fredette. Fredette now goes down the line. She's trying to find the feet of Prairie, and the Cougars still keeping it in play, and now out of bounds, throwing for Beatmantown. Ball comes into play from Avery Scott, and that was Isabel Brown to Avery Scott, and a throw-in coming up for Beatmantown, it looks like. Is it the Cougars? Oh, it's a Cougar throw-in, all right. We got to move over here. We have the boxes of the players blocking our view.
We should have real dugouts, Joey.
Yeah, real dugouts, that's right. Well, Calvin, it is what it is. So the ball comes into play. The Cougars trying to control, and it's deflecting around, and it's Sample trying to get to the ball. It's knocked away, and it is controlled by the Eagles, and that would be Avery Scott. She sends the ball forward, trying to find a Provost. Provost has it taken away by Coulomb. Finding Prairie, but Prairie can't control it. It's controlled by the Eagles, trying to switch fields was Hurwitz. Hurwitz sent it over to Sophie King, who's into the game, and it's now a loose ball picked up by the Cougars' Letourneau. Letourneau has it taken away onto the feet of number 22, Kiara Reagan. Reagan will send a through ball, and trying to break through was Avery Durgan, but defended well by the Cougars. Defended well by McComb. McComb sends it toward midfield, but it's picked up by Reagan. Reagan sends the ball forward, and now it's on to the feet of Isabel Brown. Brown comes to the near sideline, but nothing but Cougars. Emma Fredette. Fredette has some pressure from behind by Provost, and nice play by Provost to disrupt the play, and it's now onto the feet of Marley Sample. Sample outside her foot, trying to get it onto the feet of Cronkite. Cronkite into the game. And the ball is going toward the middle of the field into the defensive zone of Beatmantown, but Reagan chips it up toward midfield. It's picked up by the Cougars. Nice job by LaFountain. She keeps it onto the ground. She finds the feet of LaFountain, and it was LaFountain to LaFountain. Controlled by number 16, Cronkite. Cronkite now comes to the near sideline, to the middle of the field now, and the Cougars trying to break through, and a good job by Jenna Trombley to knock the ball to the near sideline onto the feet of Alexis Provost. Provost trying to clear it toward midfield, but it's picked up by Cronkite. She sends the ball forward, but quickly it goes back, and nice shield from Coulomb, so the Cougars will get the throw in. And it looks like checking back into the game is Bryn Sample. And coming out for Beatmantown was Avery Scott. And coming out for the Cougars is Bailey LaFountain. We're at the 27-minute mark. We still have no score here on Championship Friday in Plattsburgh on the campus of Plattsburgh State between the Eagles and the Cougars. Again, earlier this year in league play, Beatmantown has won both games 1-0 and 3-0. So the Cougars have yet to break this defense of the Eagles, and they're hoping this will be the game that they can break through and good things can happen. But right now it's 0-0. Ball is pushed forward onto the feet of Prairie. Prairie working her way down. It's Prairie trying to get by the defense, but a good job by Anna Drapo. Drapo defends well, knocks it out of bounds, but she had a lot of pressure by Elizabeth Prairie, so throw in for the Cougars.
You know, Joey, I recall the semifinal game, Northeastern and Plattsburgh boys, and you said that Plattsburgh had yet to score on the Cougars, and you kind of jinxed the Cougars. Are you trying to jinx Beatmantown here by saying the Cougars haven't scored yet?
Well, in fairness, Calvin, since you bring that up, and I know that you kind of gave me a shot that night, at the time, 3 games had gone by.
A minute later, they scored.
Well, that was in overtime. So in 3 games, there were no scores by the Hornets on the Cougars. Unfortunately, for the Cougars, it turned in overtime. And you know, that was a great game. You and I carried the game for Hometown Cable that day, and the Cougar boys had a great season. They were the number 1 seed. They played a great game against the Hornets. I mean, they were 2 evenly matched teams. There was no doubt that the Cougars had more grade A opportunities, but their goalie Toller came up big for the Hornets, and the goal that they scored on was the kind of goal that you'd kind of put together in practice to work on. It was that nice of a goal. Here come the Cougars. There's a chance. Oh my! It was the number 1 goal scorer, Marley Sample, for the Cougars. Rips a shot, but it was right at Bailey Carter, and the Cougars have the first grade A chance of this game, trying to get the first goal on the board. Great play by the Cougars, but even a better play by Bailey Carter coming up with that save, and the score stays at 0. We're under 25 minutes, and the Cougars seem incentivized by that beautiful play, and they're controlling the play now as they come back in for another offensive run, and it's defended well by the Eagles of Beatmantown, and Beatmantown working their way down. And Calvin, we've had this conversation before. It's tough to beat a team 3 times in 1 season.
If you're closely matched, yes.
If you're closely matched, correct. And you could say this team is closely matched, at least for the first 15 minutes of this half. Is there any distinct advantage? I guess I'd give a slight one for the Cougars because of their grade 8 opportunity. Beatmantown was a little sluggish at the start. They picked up their game, probably controlled a little bit more, but if we had to put a number on it, I'd say it's probably 50-50 right now, with the Cougars having the 1 of the better chances so far. Ball to the near sideline. It's Prairie. Prairie working her way down. Prairie working her way to the line and was defended well by Anna Drapo. And they're calling a corner kick. Some people thought it might have been a deflection, but Mr. Kavalowski is right there to make the call. And
I'm looking here at the corner flag here, Joey, and it's not moving at all. So I'm just wondering if they keep that ball low, if the wind is having any effect at all on the field. I haven't noticed it during the play so far.
Yeah, it's calmed down a little bit, it looks like. But we're going to find out. It's going to be Andriana Hollister. She sends the ball in the box. Beautiful play. Lands on the ground, and it's cleared out by Beekmantown. And boy, when you're a coach, the one thing you do not want to have happen inside the 18 on a corner kick is have the ball hit the ground, because anything can happen. But Beekmantown does a nice job defensively to clear that out. Now they're trying an offensive run. And back there to defend well was Cronkite. And Cronkite still with the ball. Sends the ball forward onto the feet of LaFountain. LaFountain cannot control it. And it's sent forward and picked up by Isabel Brown. Brown has some space. She pushes the ball over to the far side, and it goes on to the feet of number 14 for Beekmantown. The ball comes into the goalie, and Racina's there, so no danger. And there is a number 14 on the field for Beekmantown. And Calvin, we're going to have to get that young lady's name, as we don't have her on the roster right now. So the ball is at midfield. It's picked up by Jenna Trombley, but we'll call her number 14, Calvin. We'll give her due. And the ball is on the far side. It's picked up by Kaya McComb. McComb wisely sends the ball upon the far side. Cougars are there. It's Letourneau working away at midfield. Gives the ball up over to Bailey LaFountain. LaFountain now trying to send the ball through, but it deflects off of Madison Tatro. And the Eagles send the ball forward, and defended well by the Adriana Hollister. Hollister gives the ball up over to Sample. Sample pushes the ball back, and it's McComb. McComb still with the ball, trying to shield, but she's being challenged by Brown. But it's McComb winning that battle, gives the ball up over to Sample. Sample working her way down. Sample will now come to the near sideline, find the feet of Fredette. Fredette goes back to the center of the field. Nobody there for the Cougars, and it's cleared out by Jenna Trombley to the far sideline. She's trying to find the feet of Drapo. Picked up by Hollister, and that was actually Madison Tatro. She tried to get on the far sideline. Ball comes into play. Cougars controlling. Now the ball goes center field, gets by number 10 of the Cougars, LaFountain, and it's cleared out by the Eagles. And it is Danielle Dyke with some nice speed working her way down. Sample battling Dyke, and just enough to get some help on the far side from Hollister, and the ball is cleared to midfield. But quickly the ball is sent forward by Isabel Brown. Coming off the line was Racine. Hustling to the ball was Avery Durgan, the number one scorer for Beekmantown with 19 goals and 7 assists for 45 points. The Cougars have done a nice job defending Avery Durgan, and the defense for the Cougars go over to defend on her on the near sideline, and a foul on the Cougars. So Beekmantown will get a free kick as we approach the 20-minute mark right about midfield. A great opportunity for them to set up offensively. The Cougars go back defensively. It is the Eagles leading the Cougars in the shot category 5-3. On the scoreboard where it matters most, we're still tied at 0. The ball is sent forward, top of the box. Cougars trying to clear. Here come the Eagles. They're trying to get a shot off. Cougars are trying to defend, and it was a nice job defensively from Cronkite to knock the ball away. But it goes out of bounds off the end line, so all kinds of changes coming in. For the Cougars, it's 9 and 17. It's Grigware and Prairie. I saw Reagan going in, and in Calvin, I kind of lost everybody else for Beekmantown. And they also have a number 2 who checked into the game, and I don't have that young lady's name on the roster. So, Calvin, you may have that.
I don't know.
You're giving me all kinds of information here.
The one with the big rating on it.
The one with the big rating on it. Okay, thank you, Calvin.
I don't know if that's going to help or not.
Well, yes, it will. We have Elizabeth Chapman into the game. And there was another number I said.
14 was the other one you didn't know.
14 is Lucy Brown. So, Calvin, we're going to use this roster. And here come the Cougars. It is Prairie. sends the ball forward. Sample pushes it back and trying to get the shot off by the Cougars. It's outside the 18. There's a shot, and that just goes wide. And a nice job from Bailey LaFountain, the 8th grader, to take the turn and get the shot off. But that went wide of the net, so a goal kick for the Beekmantown Eagles. So here comes the goal kick, and the goal kick is by Jenna Trombley, and Marley Sample for the Cougars sends it forward, but it goes off of Avery Scott. And now a nice job by Sample pushing the ball up over to Sample to Bryn, to Marley, and the ball is then out onto the feet of Coulomb. Coulomb still with the ball, trying to cut in, does a nice job. Somehow Coulomb stays with the ball. Now she pushes it back, and we have a foul on Beekmantown. So the Cougars will get an opportunity here. The wind seems to have picked up a little bit, at least with the flag, and it's going straight across. I'm not sure of any real advantage, but it's going to be Hollister taking the kick. It's a free kick for the Cougars, and they're waiting for the official. And the ball was sent forward, going through the box, and coming off the line was Carter, as you had Bailey LaFountain, and Brindley LaFountain, the LaFountain girls, crashing in on the goalie. But Bailey Carter does a nice job, and she punts the ball to the far sideline, and the ball will work its way off the sideline. So we're at 17:36. We still have no score here on the campus of Plattsburgh State on Championship Friday in Class B between the Cougars of Northeastern and the Eagles of Beekmantown. I'm Joey Trombley, along with Calvin Castine on the camera. We're bringing you this action here tonight, and or I should say late afternoon. Ball comes into the near sideline. Hustling for the ball is Bryn Sample. Sample working to try to get the ball past Hurwitz. There's a battle, push on Sample, and Hurwitz wins that battle. So there'll be a free kick coming up for the Eagles. Stepping up is Jenna Trombley. The senior captain, Jenna Trombley, will take this kick. She sends the ball forward, and it goes off of Sample to the near sideline, trying to find Brindley LaFountain, and the ball is knocked away, and now it's picked up by Sample. Sample cuts it back to the inside. Nice simple pass over to Bryn Sample. She sends the ball forward, defended well by Hurwitz. Hurwitz now a loose ball picked up by Sample. Now pushes the ball back. Oh, nice play by Coulomb. Coulomb now will try to kind of switch fields. Goes to the far sideline onto the feet of Grigware. She now sends a through ball. Coming off the line is Bailey Carter. Carter has only given up 13 goals this year. She has 7 shutouts. And Racine for the Cougars, they have given up 17 goals, and she has 5 shutouts. Racine has made 105 saves this year prior to this game, and Bailey Carter 118 saves. So the ball is into the defensive end of the Cougars. Cougars are trying to clear it out, and the ball is now onto the feet of Marley Sample. Sample goes back to the outside, gets it to the feet of Fredette. Fredette working her way down, now pushes the ball forward onto the feet of Prairie, but the ball deflects back. Now it goes on to the Bailey Fountain. Ball's knocked away. Sample trying to control it, and the ball will be picked up by Sample, or not Sample, actually, that is number 11, that was Hollister. Hollister has it knocked away, and it is Lucy Brown into the game, sends the ball forward onto the feet of Elizabeth Chapman. Chapman trying to work her way down. She is defended well by Hollister. Now the Cougars are working their way up onto the feet of Sample, and Sample has it knocked away. Now controlled by the Eagles is Reagan. Reagan now comes to the near sideline trying to find Durgan. Durgan's been quiet in this first half. She finds her now. Durgan trying to use her skill, trying to get by the defense. She does, working her way toward the end line. Durgan trying to get the shot off, and it's going to be a goal kick for the Cougars. Some nice speed and work by Durgan, but just too far ahead of her, and she could not get to the ball in time, and it goes off the end line. And as I look out, Calvin, there's a really nice crowd here for this game, for this championship game. I'd expect no less when both schools are really not that far away from this complex. For for this championship game. This game here was supposed to be played on the George Brendler Field on a natural pitch in Chazy, but with the extreme weather we've had with the rain, and well, here comes Beatmantown, and the Cougars trying to clear it out. And with the extreme weather, the games were called to be switched, and thank to Plattsburgh State being so gracious to open up their field, this complex, to this championship game tonight. And the ball will clear off the sidelines in Calvin. Of course, we know we've had heavy winds and a lot of rain, and there's a lot of damage out in Essex County and down in Schroon Lake area, and they're Class D, and the Boquet Valley girls are scheduled to play the Eagles of Chazy tomorrow at noon, and they will be at the Beatmantown High School Sports Complex, and Schroon Lake is scheduled to play the Chazy Eagle boys at 2 o'clock, but we're waiting to see if those games will take place because of the damage done down in the Essex County area and south from there. So hopefully the folks there are okay, and it's only minimal property damage, and hopefully things will work out, but we'll know more as this evening progresses if those games will take place.
Yeah, a lot of flooding down there, and they canceled the George Brendler Field, as you know, ahead of yesterday, and it's just as well because we got 2 inches of rain in the North Country, and 2 inches of rain on George Brendler Field, which was already soaked, would have been disastrous.
And here come the Cougars. Cougars trying to get a shot off, and Beatmantown defending. And the senior Trombley says, "Not in my shift." She clears that ball out, and it's picked up by the Cougars, and it's Brinley LaFountain. There's a battle between Durgan and LaFountain, and they say play on. They advantage Beatmantown, and it is Durgan with some speed working her way down the near sideline. Durgan looking to cut it back. She now sends the ball all the way across. Nice service inside the box, and that ball is, we got a whistle. And I'm not sure, Jamie LaBarge looks like he wants to give a card out to somebody. And he is.
Turner looks like she's in some kind of distress. On her eye, I'm not sure.
And that, what her number is, what number?
Number 5.
So number 5 for Beatmantown?
No, Northeastern.
Okay, who got the card for Beatmantown? Is that 17? So it looks like
yep.
Olivia Scott. She's none too happy walking off the field, and it is number 5 for the Cougars, Alexa Turner. Looks like she's injured, so I'm not sure what's going on. We have 12-11. This clock has stopped in the first half. There is no score between the Eagles and the Cougars. The Eagles have outshot the Cougars 6-4 so far in this first half, but it was the Cougars with one grade A opportunity. And it was a nice save from Bailey Carter holding her ground, and it was the top goal scorer for the Cougars, Marley Sample, who was right where she needed to be, but it was right on the goalie, and Carter held her ground, corralled the ball, made sure there was no rebound, and they dodged the bullet at that point. Again this year, Chazy, the Cougars, and Beatmantown played twice, and it was Beatmantown winning 1-0 and 3-0, and Beatmantown comes into this championship game ranked number 1 in the section, but I guess more importantly, if you're looking at the state rankings, they're ranked number 11 in the state of New York. So the ball is back in play onto the feet of Sample. Nice job trapping the ball. Cronkite trying to send it forward, gets the rebound, sends it on to the feet of Bryn Sample. Sample gives the ball up to LaFountain, back to Sample. Sample working her way down the line, and she is being defended by Hurwitz. And working her way toward the end line was Sample, and it was knocked out of bounds. So a corner kick coming up for the Cougars, and they are going to send up, as they have earlier today, Adriana Hollister to take the corner kick for the Cougars. Now the wind is at the back of Hollister, so that should help as she sends the ball into the box, and we're going to see how well Beatmantown can defend here. The last kick, it landed right in the box, and now that's defended much better. It's one-timed outside of the 18. Cougars trying to send the ball forward, and it is onto the feet of Sample, and there's a shot, and that goes over the net. So goal kick coming up for Beatmantown.
That was Hollister with the shot. And good news, you can call her Audie. I haven't got to say those that long.
Call her Audie? All right, well, I just want permission.
Instead of Adriana, it's easier to say Audie.
Well, we're going to make that change here. Calvin, I'm glad you took 30 minutes for you to tell me that, so thank you for that. So we'll put down Audie here. So the ball is back in play. It's onto the feet of Coulomb, and it goes too far ahead of her. And you could say that could have been a handball and delayed. You want to see what was happening.
Yeah.
There was no advantage, so the handball called on the Cougars. As we approach the 10-minute mark left in the first half, we have no score in this championship game on a Friday on the beautiful complex of Plattsburgh State. The ball is sent forward, and it deflects off of Gwen Sample, controlled by Prairie. Prairie has it knocked away, and now it's the Eagles now going forward onto the feet of Dyke. Dyke has some nice speed, but defended well by McComb. McComb back toward midfield. Ball sent forward, controlled by the Eagles. And it is Marley Sample trying to clear the ball out. She does. It goes out of bounds, and it's going to be a throw-in by Kiara Reagan. And onto the far side.
As you mentioned, Joey, the two strong defensive teams, so it's probably not surprising that we're scoreless at this point.
No, not as surprising, especially in the championship game. And as we know, Calvin, we've done enough games together over the years that the first goal, especially in tournament play, is such a big goal because a lot of times it's the only goal, and it's a great momentum booster for whatever team gets that goal. And it kind of deflates the other team a little bit. But right now, they're still battling to see who's going to have the luxury of scoring that first goal. And all day I've been told there can be no overtime today. Everybody said no overtime. I can't guarantee that when it comes to playoff soccer.
Next game's at 8, so we got a lot of time.
A lot of time. So Calvin says go 2, 3, 4 overtimes. Do what you want. Actually, they go to penalty kicks. After what, 2:30s?
No, it's 2:20, 2:10s, and 2:05s.
Oh, they still do that in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, and the 2-5s are sudden death?
Yeah.
Golden goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the boys go to 15 because it's already golden goal, so rather than play 2:10s and then 2:05s a golden goal, they just play 2:15s a golden goal.
Now I'm going to go on record and guess we're not going to get to that point. And here it comes. Here come the Eagles. There's the shot, and that goes side net. And I don't think we're going to go to overtime, Calvin.
All right.
I'm making the call at 8 minutes and 18 seconds left in the first half.
All right. Daring
I'm
call.
not going to wait till 37:80 or 37:25 in the second half to make that call. I'll make it right now.
All right.
So you have Abby Racine taking this kick as we approach the 8-minute mark. Shots favor the Eagles 7-5 on a game that's been really evenly matched throughout the first half. Ball sent forward. Now it's kicked toward midfield, and Trombley one-times it right back to the feet of Reagan, and it's cleared to the outside. But now here come the Eagles getting a chance. Ball to the top of the key, and a good job by McComb, because stepping up was Kiara Reagan wanting to get a shot off. McComb did a nice job defending, and now the ball is kicked up in the air by Cronkite, and a Sample battling for the ball. It's Cronkite and Dyke battling, and it's Cronkite. And the ball goes out of bounds, throw in for the Eagles. And Calvin, I'm glad that all the players have been down there, because it's hard to see down there, Calvin.
Yeah.
So the ball comes into play by the Cougars. And it's Marley Sample, pushes it back to Sample. A little give and go from Sample to Coulomb. And here comes number 7. There's the ball going across. Dangerous. And on the weak side, nobody was there. Back post. Beautiful cross by Danielle Dyke. But no one was there for the Eagles. And the net was kind of open. Nobody was defending for the Cougars. And it was Racine coming to the near post. And the ball harmlessly goes through everybody to the backside. And the Cougars are on a counterattack. So Jamie LaBarge is pushing the player back a bit. It looks like Coming over to take the throw-in is Sophie King. King will take the throw-in for the Eagles deep in her own defensive zone. She goes down the line, trying to find the feet of Drapo. Drapo being battling with Bryn Sample. It goes off of Sample. And we have a substitution for Beatmantown. It's Emma McCaslin checking into the game, as well as Lucy Brown back into the game for the Eagles. Coming off is Isabel Brown, and it looks like if it's 18, it's Sarah Tisdale coming off for Beatmantown. Ball comes into play. Cougars controlling. Now on to the feet of McComb. McComb pushes it back. There's a through ball. Coming out is the Cougars, and oh, what a defensive play. Coming off onto the weak side was Marley Sample, looking to get a foot on it, but defended well as it was taken out by Hurwitz. So a corner kick coming for the Cougars. And again, it's Audie Hollister taking the corner kick for the Cougars. And she would love to have that opportunity back. A wasted opportunity goes off the end line, so goal kick coming up for Beatmantown. Another substitution for Beatmantown. Avery Scott is back into the game. And coming off the field for Beatmantown, is trying to pick up her number. And it was number 11, Drapo, out for Beatmantown. So the Eagles with the ball, and it is the Cougars trying to keep the ball in. Nice job. Ball is sent across. Nice cross by Barry LaFountain. Quickly it goes out to Marley Sample. Sample goes to the far side over to Cronkite. Cronkite has it knocked away. Reagan now trying to get a through ball, trying to find the speed of Durgan, and she's called offsides. And on the far side, who's the far side official?
Gary Kaiser's over there.
Gary Kaiser was right there to see it. So we have 3:30 left in the first half in Plattsburgh at the Sports Complex on the campus of Plattsburgh State. Championship Friday, no score between the Eagles and the Cougars.
It's a busy night here at the field house. They got hockey starting tonight and for the college, and 2 soccer games wrapped around that.
There's the shot, and Racine is there. Nice play by Avery Scott. Took it to the outside, cut it to the inside, was able to turn, and Racine held her ground. It was a nice hard low shot. Racine comes up with the save. And as you were saying, Calvin, there actually is a delay in the game because we got the hockey game.
The second game, yes.
The second game will be delayed, yeah, till 8 o'clock tonight. So the ball's at midfield. Cronkite gets the ball up over to LaFountain, and that's Bailey LaFountain. She comes to the near sideline trying to find Marley Sample. She has the ball knocked away and picked up by Dyke. Dyke at midfield, but Cronkite for the Cougars is there, and the ball is now sent forward. Cougars trying to control. Coming up to the ball is number 12, Hurwitz. And Hurwitz trying to keep it in. She takes it off of Sample. So Hurwitz with the throw-in. Ball comes down off the head of Dyke. And the Cougars trying to keep it in. Nice job by Coulomb. But now the ball is picked up by Lucy Brown. Brown comes back to the near sideline, finds Dyke. Dyke with some room working her way down the sideline. Cutting it to the inside, now serving it inside the 18. Ball is cleared out by Cronkite. And Reagan trying to get a shot off, defended by McComb. McComb's trying to help stop her from turning around. McComb does a nice job. And that's going to be a foul on the Eagles. And a sense of frustration down there on the Beatmantown Eagles. With 1:30 to go, we have no score, and I think there's a little bit of frustration on the number 1 seeded team in this playoff, in this sectional championship game, as I don't think they were expecting to be at a 0-0 halftime score against the Cougars. They had outshot the Cougars 8-5, but it's been an evenly matched game here in the first half. and the ball is sent deep into Beekmantown territory. And nice job by Trombley. Trombley controlling, cuts it to the inside, trying to go on the outside. Marley Sample of the Cougars now getting a through ball. She's trying to find the feet of Prairie, and Prairie cannot get the shot off. It was knocked out of bounds by Madison Tatro. So there's 47 seconds. They got time. No need to panic. Plenty of time. Sample will take the kick. They leave Hollister back there. Sample sends the ball in. It deflects to the outside, trying to get the shot off. Cronkite will let the shot rip. There's a wall of people, mostly Beekmantown players and a lot of Cougar players back there defending. Sample from distance trying to get a shot off, and a Sample working her way down, and that's going to be a goal kick. She tried to take it off of the defender, and so there's 15 seconds left in the first half. Now we're down to 10. So this first half will go in the books as a 0-0 tie, with Beekmantown out shooting the Cougars 8-6, and now it is official. The first half has come to an end in this championship game between the Cougars and the Eagles, and we have no score.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back to the complex at Plattsburgh State for this second half of this championship game. It's Championship Friday between the Cougars and the Eagles. First half was pretty evenly matched between these two teams. The Eagles are out shooting the Cougars 8-6 in the first half, and they've met prior this year twice during the regular season, and the advantage went to the Beekmantown Eagles over the Cougars 1-0 and 3-0. So in 2.5 games, the Cougars have not been able to crack the defense of Beekmantown, but they had one glorious opportunity in the first half, and it was Marley Sample with a great opportunity, but a great save by Bailey Carter. So the Eagles will be now going from left to right, the Cougars from right to left, and Beekmantown in their home uniforms controlling early on. And there's the shot. This is dangerous, coming off her line, and it's cleared out, but what a nice shot quickly by Alexis Provost, and it went through the hands of Racine and cleared out by the defense. And Sample now sends the ball forward, but quickly it comes back into play by Tatro. And there's a chip up high in the air. Racine coming off her line. That wind, and I'll tell you, Calvin, I went outside at halftime, and that wind is a factor. Why those corner posts are not flapping is beyond me, because it is steady.
They're below us, and I think that's
got to be the reason, because you can see the American flag.
Once that ball gets up in the air, you can see it move, but if they keep it low, I think they're in good shape.
Well, and it is coming to the near sideline, controlled by the Eagles, and it's Beekmantown, and it's a through ball by Dyke, trying to find the feet of Provost, but the Cougars are now controlling, and you do have to watch out for Provost. She had 11 points this year for Beekmantown. She was in the 4th on the list, and there's Kiera Reagan with 14 points, but the big two guns are Avery Durgan and Danielle Dyke. But the Cougars counter with Marley Sample and Elizabeth Prairie. We said her name quite a bit. And here come the Cougars, and here's an opportunity. Ball comes across, and the Cougars looking for the shot. Oh, across and over the net. Oh, my, what an opportunity for the Cougars. And that looked like it might have been Bryn Sample whipping that shot. But unfortunately, it goes over the net. If you're a Cougar fan, if you're an Eagle fan, you're just fine with it. Goal kick by Jenna Trombley. She goes to the far sideline, picked up by the Cougars. It is Coulomb. Coulomb pushing it down the line, trying to find Prairie. Prairie controlling, working her way down. Now cuts it back, and it's knocked out of bounds by Olivia Scott, throwing for the Cougars. It is Leah Coulomb, deep in the Beekmantown territory, far side, will take the throw-in. Ball comes into play, and it's pushed back to Coulomb. And it was a push on Beekmantown. So here's a kick for the Cougars. Now it's going to be a little more difficult because they're kicking into the wind, but they'll take that opportunity anytime to send the ball forward. They'll probably go shy of the net, but they will send the ball forward, and it did go shy, and it's now sent forward, headed back down by Brinley LaFountain. Stepping up is Cronkite, and Cronkite had a good first half for the Cougars in her position at the midfield, and she's more like in a stopper position, and the Cougars trying to work their way through, but it's cleared out by Tremblay to the far sideline, now cutting to the inside of the Cougars, and here comes Prairie. Prairie sends it across. Tremblay trying to clear it. There's a shot, and oh my, the Cougars just miss on the second grade A opportunity of the night, and the ball looks like it went to Sample. Marley Sample had an opportunity with an open net, deflected it just wide, and Beekmantown has dodged the bullet early here in the second half. At the 36-14 second mark, so some good pressure by the Cougars early here in the first half. It was Beekmantown coming out quickly, but then the Cougars have turned the tide here pretty quickly in the second half, controlling the play, but now here comes Beekmantown. So it is definitely a game of momentum, and right now here comes Beekmantown on the counterattack. It is Durgan will take the corner, no, it was off the end line, so it's a goal kick for the Cougars. Durgan could not keep up with it, and it's going to be Racine with the Cougars. And the ball comes into the near sideline, and now sent toward the middle of the field. Hustling back there is Jenna Tremblay. And we have Hall of Fame official Randy Lozier in the press box. So we want to thank Randy Lozier for his presence here tonight. And if you have any soccer question, any confusion, he is the man to ask, because the man is a legend. So Randy Lozier is in the house. Nice to have him here. I'm Joey Tremblay along with Calvin Castine on the camera. And the ball is in play. And now it's going to be a throw in, the substitution. So we have Emma McCaslin checking in for Beekmantown. And coming off is Olivia Scott. Ball into play, goes on to the feet of Tatro. Tatro pushes it back. They're trying to find Dyke, and it's the Cougars. McComb chips it forward onto the feet of Prairie. Prairie now sends it back. It's kind of a give and go back to Prairie. Prairie working her way down. She is the second goal scorer, point getter for the Cougars. She does a nice job now taking it to the outside. Prairie still battling, but she is defended well by Reagan back there, or it could have been Sophie King. Ball at midfield, and here come the Beekmantown Eagles. Ball sent forward, looking for a through ball, trying to get it to the feet of Dyke, but cleared to the outside. A good job by the Cougar defense, and here come the Eagles. Beekmantown cutting it toward the middle. It's Tremblay, gets a shot from distance, and that goes off of, actually it was Avery Scott gets a shot off from distance, and that works its way off the end line, so a goal kick coming up for the Cougars. Racine is okay to call her Abby Racine too, instead of Abrielle. Yep. Okay, I get the clearance from Calvin. It's Abby Racine.
You can call Prairie Ellie too.
Ellie, okay. 18, well, it's Elizabeth, but we can call her Ellie. Okay, Ellie Prairie. So 32-51 left in the second half. No score if you're just joining us for this championship game on the campus of Plattsburgh State. Beekmantown and Northeastern. Evenly matched game. Shots favor the Eagles 10-9. So it's a lot of action, and definitely the Cougars have had the better of the opportunities as far as scoring opportunities. But It is now Beatontown. Now the ball comes across. A nice through ball. Racine comes off her line. It was a great work from Provost sending the ball across, but Abby Racine comes off the line. And here's Prairie. Ellie Prairie working her way down, has space, but hustling is Madison Tatro. Prairie cutting it to the inside. Tatro defending it well, but Prairie with the ball. Prairie gets the low shot off, and it is Bailey Carter holding her ground, comes up with the save at the 32-minute mark. And there was a punt, and Carter would like to have that back. She kind of shanked that punt. So a deep throw in for the Cougars. Coming into the game is Emma Fredette for the Cougars, as well as Avery Scott. And coming off for the Cougars is Allison Grigware. So the Cougars putting some pressure on. Goes to Sample. Sample comes back to the near side, gets it onto the feet of LaFountain, and it goes on to Prairie. Prairie turns, defended well, pushes it back to Cronkrite. Cronkrite gets the shot off, goes off at the feet of Trombley, and Trombley takes it to the end line and does a nice job keeping it in, not giving up the corner kick. Now clears the ball out. Nice job from Trombley clearing the ball out from distance. So throw in for the Cougars as the ball is sent forward, trying to find the feet of Prairie. She pushes it back. Now it's chipped up, one-timed onto the feet of Fredette. Fredette was trying to control it. It's picked up by the Eagles. Provost now sends the ball forward, but calmly McComb sends it back out, but picked up again by Provost. She now gives the ball up to 8, and now is, nice job by McComb stifling that defense. That was a nice play by Avery Scott from Beatontown earlier, getting the ball up, but it's Prairie on the far sideline, and it goes out of bounds, cannot keep it in. So a throw in. We have more substitutions coming in for Beatontown, as we have Elizabeth Chapman checking into the game, as well as Sarah Tisdale. 30-minute mark, still no score. We're 10 minutes into the second half. We still have no score, and it's looking more and more like one goal may be the difference in this game whenever it comes. So both teams really working hard to get that. Shots are favored, or they're even at 10-10, and that gives you an indication on how evenly played this game has been up to this point.
It's already been decided that there will be no overtime.
I made that call with 8 minutes left in the first half. That's what Calvin's alluding to. I said there will not be overtime. Somebody will win this game in regulation. And it is picked up by Scott. Scott looking to serve, but defended well. And the Cougars are defending really well, and McComb has done a nice job back there defensively. And the ball is picked up by the Cougars. Fredette pushes it back onto the feet of Hollister. Hollister has it taken away by Dyke. Dyke comes to the near sideline and offsides on Elizabeth Chapman. So a goal kick coming up for the Cougars. And actually, they called a foul? It looks
offside.
like
offside.
Oh, offsides. So the ball is sent forward by Hollister, and it's kicked up into the air by King, and controlled by the Eagles. And again, it is McComb, and McComb right now would be my all-star for the Cougars on the defensive zone. Doing a nice job on the defensive end, far side, trying to find Prairie. And a nice, smart play by Bailey LaFountain to the open spot, just too far ahead of Prairie, but the right idea. And so we're going to have a throw in for the Eagles. And more changes, with more substitutions. With 27:52 left in the second half, we still have no score. Ball comes in, it goes off of the feet of Lucy Brown at midfield, controlled by Cronkrite. She sends the ball forward, and now it's knocked back toward midfield. and it's sent forward by Dyke. She was trying to find Brown. A big kick back defensively for the Cougars is McComb. McComb takes it to the outside, now cuts it up. Nice job by McComb, now trying to cut it to the inside, knocked away from behind. And good work by Chapman. Chapman working her way down and was defended well as Audie Hollister knocks it out of bounds. So a deep throw in for the Eagles. Deep in the offensive zone. They do have the wind at their back. And it will be Chapman with the throw-in. She gets the ball in. It comes back to Chapman. Chapman will now send it across. And it's McComb trying to clear it. Comes back. There's a shot by number 22. That'll go over the net. But Kiara Reagan got the shot off. But it will be a goal kick for the Cougars. And checking into the game for the Cougars is Haley Letourneau. Coming out of the game is Bryn Sample. So the kick by Racine, Cougars trying to control. It's kind of the open space. Nice job by Dyke. Dyke has it knocked away, and it's cleared by Letourneau. Trying to find Prairie, but a nice job by Sophie King sending the ball up to the near sideline, trying to find the feet of Chapman. She did, but it goes off of Chapman, throwing for the Cougars, and quickly it comes into play. And Letourneau trying to win that battle, sends the ball up trying to find Prairie, but the ball is sent back to the 18. McComb holding her ground, gets the shot off, deflects, and now going to the center of the 18. Nice pass by Chapman, chipped out. Eagles trying to control, going to the weak side, pushing it back, a little give and go, looking to get the shot off, rips the shot off of McComb. And nice job by Reagan. She goes back to the outside. And it's just outside the 18, cleared by McComb. And McComb trying to get it onto the legs of Allison Grigware. Grigware turns, has it taken away, and now it's Prairie. Prairie with the ball, working her way up. Nice speed, controlling the ball. Prairie still has some speed, working her way up to the 18. Prairie looking to get a shot off. Prairie ripping it across, and right there was Bailey Carter. So some great speed and footwork by number 17, Ellie Prairie. And Beatmantown does a nice job defending that. McComb back for the Cougars. And it's McComb and Durkee battling. And Durkee will be called for the push. McComb goes down.
What was nice in that last shot down there, Joey, was that the Cougars followed the shot. If Carter had misplayed it, they would have been all over it. It's too often you see nobody following the shot, just living off whatever happens.
Yeah, and I'm sure the coaches have talked to their players that this is championship soccer and you got to lay it all out in the field. And if you don't, it can be a long season, and for the seniors, their career comes to an end. So they, at the high school level, I should say. So a great matchup. I would have expected no less in this championship game between the Eagles and the Cougars. And even though the Beatmantown Eagles had their way with the Cougars with 2 victories during the regular season, I'm sure they were good games. The 1-0 game obviously was, and I'm sure the 3-0 game really wasn't reflective of the game that was played. But we have a great crowd here tonight on the campus of Plattsburgh State. I'm Joey Trombley along with Calvin Castine as we bring you this championship action. And the winner will move on to regional play. The winner of this game is going to move on to play Section 3 in Chittenden High School on the 5th of November. And so today's the 1st.
It's election day.
So on election day, yeah, the game's at 4 o'clock. And they actually know who they'll be. Well, they're either playing the winner of Central Valley Academy or West Hill. They'll get to play their game. And they'll play one of those 2 teams. So either the Cougars or the Eagles will be making the trip down to Section 3 on election day, November 5th. 2019. 22:56 left in the second half, and it's the Eagles, Durgan, working her way down, trying to get the ball onto the head of Dyke, and the ball goes toward the net. It was a shot from distance from Provost. Racine having no issues with that, work her way to the 18, does a nice punt toward midfield, And it is a nice play by Bailey LaFountain. She goes to the outside, finding the feet of Emma Fredette. Fredette comes back, trying to find LaFountain. LaFountain is defended well. Ball controlled by the Eagles. Cougars, number 13, Sample, trying to get to the ball. It's cleared back behind the defense. Hustling over is McComb. And McComb tries to clear it, but it goes off of the leg of Durgan. So a goal kick for the Cougars. And again, more substitutions. We have Bryn Sample back into the game for the Cougars, as well as Isabel Brown for the Eagles and Anna Drapo for Beatmantown. So ball is back in play. We're seeing short kick to the near sideline, and now it's controlled by the Eagles, and it's number 7, Dyke, trying to get the shot off, and she goes off the end line, so it'll be a goal kick for the Cougars. Defended well by the Cougars to get that goal kick. And another substitution, we have Ellie Prairie back into the game. Just took her off for a minute to let her get a little rest. She's putting a nice effort out there for the Cougars. We're seeing chips the ball up, goes off of the back of Sample, back to Sample. Sample will now send the ball on the ground. She one-times it up from Bailey LaFountain. LaFountain with the ball, working her way forward, chipping it forward to Bryn LaFountain. Bryn LaFountain has Prairie in front of her, working her way down, and it's knocked off the sideline. Throw in for the Cougars. Far side is Bryn Sample with the throw-in for the Cougars. Ball comes back onto the feet of Leah Coulomb. Coulomb now sends the ball forward, goes off of the head of Prairie. Inside the box, coming off the line is Carter, and she'll work her way to the 18. Carter letting her players set up. Now sends the punt. It's a short punt, shy of midfield, but controlled by the Eagles. On to the feet of Provost. Provost cuts it to the inside. It's Provost. Now sends the ball forward. Knocked away by the defense. Leah Coulomb. Far side. Eagles controlling, knocked away by the Cougars. Sample sends it to the far side, trying to find Bailey LaFountain. Remember, Bailey LaFountain's an 8th grader for the Cougars. Moved up to varsity, having an impact for the Cougars this year. Ball comes into play. Ellie Prairie, taking the turn. Nice speed. She's inside that box, rips another shot, but it goes right at Bailey Carter. So the Cougars have done some nice work today, creating some opportunities. Unfortunately, the majority of those shots have been right at Bailey Carter, and she has come up with the saves. Now here come the Beatmantown Eagles, and again, no surprise, shots on net favor Beatmantown 13-12. So it's just been a game going back and forth, and it is Prairie trying to cut it to the inside, sends it back to Sample. Sample goes to the far side. Back, trying to come back to Sample was Bryn Sample, but it was knocked away by the defense of Beatmantown at midfield. Player down, and that looks like it's going to be a push on Avery Scott. So the Cougars will get the ball around midfield. It's a free kick. Chance for the players to set up offensively and defensively, and Calvin, you can see that flag flapping pretty good right now as we approach 18. Well, we're at 18:48 left in the second half, and we will have to wait and see as we're getting closer. If my prediction this game to not go in overtime will be a reality or just a poor prediction. But right now, it looks like it will be overtime unless something happens in the next 18 and a half minutes. It is McComb doing a nice job defensively, but she is being challenged. And Dyke was challenging her. McComb won that battle. She gets the ball up over to the feet of Prairie. Prairie cuts it to the inside. Prairie is defended now. Again, cuts it back to the inside, but she is defended well by number 15, Madison Tatro. It's the Cougars. Letourneau pushes it back to Sample. Sample does a nice job keeping the ball on her feet. Now sends it forward, trying to find Prairie. Prairie with the ball pushes it back to Sample. Sample with some space. Now will take it to the center of the field. Prairie to Sample. Sample still controlling the ball. Now goes on to the feet of Coulomb. Coulomb cuts it to the inside. Coulomb now still with the ball, being defended well. Coulomb has the ball taken away. Taken away by Avery Scott. Scott goes to the far sideline. She's finding Durgan with the ball will send it to the near sideline. She's trying to find the feet of Provost. She does. Provost is a collision along with Hollister. Hollister sends the ball forward, and it goes to Prairie. Prairie sends it back to Letourneau. Letourneau tries to go back to Prairie. Ball is knocked out of bounds by number 20, Sophie King. Checking into the game for the Cougars is Allison Gligware. Coming out of the game is Haley Letourneau for the Cougars. So throw in for the Cougars near sideline as we approach the 17-minute mark. We still have no score in this championship game on the campus of Plattsburgh State between the Eagles and the Cougars. And Coach Bursick has more substitutions coming in. We have we have Avery Scott, we have Emma McCaslin, and we have Kiara Reagan checking back into the game for Beekmantown. The winner of this game will be crowned sectional champion, and they'll earn their ticket to sectional or regional play. And of course, the ultimate goal is to make it to the Final Four in Cortland. Cougars controlling the ball. Far side, it is Bryn Sample. Sample is defended by Emma McCaslin, who just checked into the game. Sample takes it away from McCaslin. Sample trying to get by Hurwitz. Is McCaslin. And she's taken down. So here's a nice opportunity for the Cougars just outside the 18, far side. Yes, there's a stiff wind, but the ball is closer to the net. So there's an opportunity to try to get this in the middle of the box. I'm not sure if they can go deep on the goalie Carter, but they should be crashing the net as this ball comes forward by the Cougars. 15:39 left in the second half. Ball comes in. There's the crash. Sample trying to get the shot off, and it's deflected. Sample gets a weak shot off. Ball's around. The Cougars are trying to get a shot. Defended well by Beekmantown. There's a scrum going on. Who's going to win this? Ball comes back out. Sample pushes it back. There's the shot by number 12, and that was Brindley LaFallon goes wide of the net. So again, some nice work by the Cougars, but equally nice work defensively by the Eagles of Beekmantown, and they dodge that bullet. And we still at 0 score with 15 minutes left in the second half. Shots now favor the Cougars 14-13. It's just back and forth with these two teams, and it's the kind of championship game you would expect in division and at the B level between these two clubs. The ball was sent forward just outside the box. Sample trying to get a shot off, gets it off, but it deflects off of the defense. It deflected off of Jenna Trombley, and the Cougars again putting pressure. Low shot and defended well by number 20 King to the outside. And again, the Cougars are not rewarded for their hard work. But that has to do with the defensive play of the Beekmantown Eagles. Eagles trying to clear it. There's a shoot. Scores! She scores! Ellie Prairie, the second leading goal scorer for the Cougars, breaks the ice at 14-14. It is Prairie scoring, and it was just a matter of time, Calvin. The pressure put up by the Cougars, you had this sense that they were going to break through. And for the first time this year, the Cougars have broken the defense of the Eagles of Beekmantown as they were shut out twice this year earlier. They now lead 1-0 with 14-14 left.
Well, when they were able to keep that ball down at that end for so long.
And it was Hollister, Calvin, who got the assist. What's that?
So they were able to keep that ball down at that end for so long, you just know sooner or later something's going to happen.
Well, we've done enough of these games, and we've experienced it over the years. When you keep that pressure up, it's just a matter of time, and they score.
Keith Lobdell is giving us some pertinent information here.
They had also switched McComb up to the center mid position.
And McComb went to the center mid, which obviously was a big thing. McComb has done a good job defensively.
When they move McComb to get into the offensive flow, the offense really picks up.
And she's just a strong player.
So valuable at either end. So I imagine we'll see her at the defense And the rest
Well,
of the
she's
team.
back there now. Now they moved her to the sweeper position.
Yeah.
So now they got the lead. So you have Coach Superna is now, he's not just going to lay back and play defense, but he's going to bring his best player back to the sweeper position to try to thwart any offensive ability of the Eagles. So now it's the Cougars sending the ball forward. It was Cronkite trying to find Prairie, and Prairie hustling and coming off the line was Bailey Carter. So if you're the coach for the Cougars or you're the players, you want to try to control the midfield, but any chance you get, you want to send the ball forward, obviously to kill some time off the clock. And it is number 10, it is Bailey LaFountain now sends the ball forward, and it is Carter there again, but the Cougars are now leading the shot category 15-13. They have definitely picked up their game in the last 5 to 10 minutes. And again, it's the Cougars. What I'm seeing, Calvin, out there, what I like, and here comes Sample, is that the Cougars are playing as if they're trailing this game. They're not resting on their laurels. They're still controlling the midfield, pushing the ball forward. And here's the young lady we've been talking about, Kaya McComb, who's back in the sweeper position, now sends the ball forward. And Beekmantown is playing defense, trailing 1-0. And here come the Cougars again. And there's a shot from distance, and coming up is Carter again, and she sends the punt up. So there's going to be a sense of urgency from Beekmantown with only 12 minutes and 22 seconds left in this second half. They trail 1-0. So the question is, can the Cougars withstand the urgency of the Eagles? What I've seen so far in the last minute and a half after their score, they're doing just a fine job with that. But Beekmantown has a lot to offer, and they're the number 1 seed, and they will be bringing it on here in the final 12 minutes. It's McComb. Go ahead, Calvin.
And there's a good reason why they're state ranked. They're a powerful team.
Yes, they are. And but there's a reason why you play the game, and you're definitely favored coming in, but you got to win the game on the field. And this is one of the games. This game is far from over, but the Cougars have proven they belong in this game, Calvin.
Well, there's no doubt about that. Even before they got here, that they belonged in this game. It's very good Cougar team.
As they are now leading in the shot category 17-13. The Cougars come into this with a record of 9-5-2. Beekmantown has a record of 14-1-1. And it's a throw-in for Beekmantown. And the ball comes in off the head of Sample. Ball sent forward. And that goes off of a Cougar. And there's a quick throw-in onto the feet of number 7, Dyke, but it's deflected back toward midfield, and it is LaFountain. Bailey LaFountain gets the ball up to Prairie. Prairie back over to LaFountain. Little give and go, and she's working her way toward the end line, doing a nice job, taking some time off the clock, pushes it back, now gives the ball up over to Sample. Sample now working her way toward the 18. Jenna Trombley just clears it out. Cougars are okay with that. It's a long clear out. The Cougars will take their time for the throw-in. And actually we have a whistle, and this looks like it favors the Cougars again. So here's another wonderful opportunity for the Cougars, and looking to take that kick.
Just outside the penalty area.
It's just out. They're going to let Marley Sample, and Sample has a strong kick, and I think she's going to try to do something here. No, she steps over, and they stop the clock with 10 minutes left. And the Cougars are trying to decide what their play is going to be. It's either going to be a set play,
10-3 to go.
And so it is going to be Bailey LaFountain, the 8th grader. They let LaFountain take that kick. She goes over the net, but that's the faith that Superna has in his 8th grader to let her try that shot just outside the 18 with under 10 minutes left in this championship game, and that's why she's on the field. And we're in the final 10 minutes of the second half.
All trash items, bottles, papers, etc. to the trash receptacle. This allows for a smooth transition to the next contest. We greatly appreciate your anticipated cooperation.
And with 9.5 minutes to go, it's the Cougars leading the Eagles 1-0 on a beautiful goal by Ellie Prairie. And
Hollister getting the assist, right?
Hollister, Audie Hollister, got the assist. And it's the only goal of the game so far. Cougars putting the pressure on, and since that goal, the Cougars have kept the pressure on Beekmantown. And again, here are the Cougars at Sample. Goes to the far side, open space onto the feet of Bryn Sample. Sample will now try to cut it to the inside. She's defended well. On the far side is McCaslin for Beekmantown. Ball goes off the sideline, so a throw-in for the Cougars. Leah Coulomb taking the throw-in for the Cougars. Nice throw-in, trying to find Sample. Sample trying to get by the defense. Sample gets the shot off, and oh, what a shot by Sample. And that goes off over the end line, so it was a goal kick. But what a rip by the number one goal scorer for the Cougars, Marley Sample. And wholesale substitutions coming in for the Cougars. I didn't catch them all, but checking back into the game is Bailey LaFountain. And coming out is Bryn Sample. And there's the goal kick.
Well, ref's a lot closer than I am, but it sure looked like Carter got a hand on that from the way the ball kind of went up a little bit. But
that was my first reaction too, Calvin, but I'm guessing it didn't. And
yeah, they were right there.
So the ball comes forward, and that just shows, when you're an official, it's where your position is. And here come the Cougars. And it is the Cougars putting the pressure on, cannot get the shot off. Sample rips a shot with her left foot. That goes wide. Again, great pressure by the Cougars. They can taste this, and they're not sitting back defensively. I like the move that Supernaw did, Coach Supernaw, bringing Kaya McComb, who he brought up to the offensive midfield for that goal to happen. Then quickly he takes her back to the sweeper position, and right now the Cougars have not had to rely on her because they're just putting the pressure. They're playing like they're trailing, but they're up 1-0 with 6:56 to go. And here come the Cougars again. It goes to the weak side, as I like to call it. They got open space. There's a rip, and again, I'll tell you, Marley Sample has had some opportunities this game, has not been able to capitalize, but she's had her opportunities. And quite frankly, Beekmantown is fortunate to only be trailing 1-0 in this game. The Cougars have definitely had better grade 8 opportunities to score, but they are a high-powered team. They're ranked for a reason. They're number 1 seed for a reason, and the Cougars have to keep doing what they're doing. And that was a delayed call. Wanted to see if there's going to be any advantage to Beekmantown, but a foul on the Cougars. And so we're going to have a kick coming up for Kylie Reagan. And at the 5-minute mark, Calvin, as we know, the new change this year, if the team leading makes any substitutions in the final 5 minutes, the clock automatically stops. So it stops the age-old strategy of trying to kill the clock by substitution.
Well, it doesn't automatically stop. The timer has to stop it.
Well, this guy's on his game here. He'll have that all over it. We have all kinds of all-stars up here. All-star lacrosse player who's hurt, but he's stepping up for Plattsburgh State, doing the clock. And the legend himself right now, Mr. Lozier's right next to me, trying to keep me in check. And Lozier's a little partial. He's a Beekmantown coach, and he's rooting for the Beekmantown girls. And Randy, you've been watching this game. It's been a good one.
Oh, Northeastern's played outstanding. This is, without question, one of their best games all year long.
And it is the Cougars defending, and the ball will work its way off the end line. So we are now at the 5-minute mark, so that new rule comes into effect.
Stop the clock.
And on the goal kick, do you stop the clock on goal kicks too in the final 5?
No. There's a substitution.
But if they both come in?
Either both teams are substitution.
Start it.
Even if...
Well, we have the official right here, so...
Sorry.
What are they saying here, Randy? Because are they going to talk to you?
Technically it was at 5:01. Technically it was 5:01. The clock should have ran, but the referee stopped the clock. We're going to put it right at 5:01.
4:45 on the clock.
4:45.
By definition, the clock was at 5:01 when he beckoned the subs in. Therefore, the clock should have ran. But
So you keep it going because it started before.
that is correct.
45 on the clock.
At the time in which, at the time,
Enter. There you go.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the clock is running. It was 4:45 left in the second half. Cougars are trying to defend, and there is a foul. And the Cougars will get the kick. As it looked like Cronkite went down. Sample will take the kick. 4:19 to go. And now they give it up to Hollister. She sends the ball toward midfield. And at this point, with 4 minutes left, if you're the coach, what you're telling your team is just send it forward. Put the other team back on their heels. 4 minutes to go. Cougars down the line onto the feet of Prairie. Prairie does exactly that. She just sends it to the open space. Will now hustle down there, gets to her own ball. So nice play by Prairie, killing time, and that goes off of Prairie. So deep throw in for the Eagles, and they're stopping the clock with 3:40 to go. They was waiting for the ball to get back in play. Here we go. And
Now, Joey, it's been a while since the Bigtown had a shot. It was 13-12 in their favor, and now it's 20-13 in favor of the Cougars. So
here they come. They're dangerous. Looking to get the shot off, just trying to turn and shoot. Ball comes back to the far side, and nice job defended by Sample. Ball pushed out, kept in, good job, and it actually goes off the sideline. So throw in for the Cougars, and then we now approach the 3-minute mark, and the Cougars are 3 minutes away from upsetting the number 1 seed Eagles here in this championship game as they lead 1-0 on a beautiful goal from Ellie Prairie. Ball at midfield, and it's nice hustle and effort by Fredette. And stepping up, there was a collision, but the ball is won by Beatmantown. It is Scott. Scott sends it to the 18. McComb now cuts it to the inside. McComb has had a stellar game. She would definitely be my MVP of this game if the Cougars can come out to win it. Ball's at midfield, and Beatmantown has everybody up. They have to have urgency with 2:25 left in the second half. And ball comes through onto the feet of Reagan. Reagan has it knocked away. There's a battle, and nice job by number 2, Fredette. Fredette sends the ball forward. Nice shield by Prairie. Now she cuts it to the inside. She has nice speed. Prairie now splits the defense. Prairie still with the ball on her feet. Goes to the open space. Beautiful play. Sending it to the far side, trying to find Bryn Sample. Sample gets down there, but a nice job by the defender for Beatmantown. And the ball was chipped up by Lee Coulomb out of bounds. So she's knocking some time off the clock. Throw in for Beatmantown with 1:47 to go. Cougars now sending the ball forward. It is Prairie getting pushed off the ball, battling, and it is Beatmantown controlling. Cougars defending, ball forward, and to the far side it is McComb hustling down to the far side, and picked up by the Beatmantown. Now there's McComb, the all-star in my opinion of this game. Defensively does a beautiful job. Ball was knocked out of bounds. Quickly the ball comes in for Beatmantown, and the Cougars trying to defend. Ball pushed back onto the feet of Scott. Cougars trying to clear it, and it's cleared out by number 15. Good job by Leah Coulomb. Throw in for the Eagles. We're down to the final minute, and the ball's in play. Deflects high in the air. It's going to be another throw in for Beatmantown. We're down to 54 seconds. Ball comes back. Sent forward, and that's what you have to do. Back there defensively is number 4, Jenna Trombley. She now sends it forward, and there is desperation on Beatmantown's part with 39 seconds left. Ball sent forward. They're coached very well by Tim Supernaw, and we have a whistle off sides on the Cougars. And the ball will go to Beatmantown, and quickly the ball is sent forward, and it is cleared up into the air toward midfield with 20 seconds to go, and the Cougars just trying to send the ball forward, and it comes to the near sideline, and that ball is cleared up by number 10, Bailey LaFountain, 8 seconds to go. Cougars, and there's a handball with 4 seconds to go. The clock is going down. 2 seconds, 1 second. This game is over. The Cougars have upset Beekmantown in this championship game. The Cougars will move on to regional play. They had lost twice this year to Beekmantown in league play, and the Cougars come up 1-0 on a Ellie Prairie goal. And as Calvin and I were talking about earlier in this telecast, that it's tough to beat one team 3 times in a season when you're evenly matched. And there's no doubt about this. These were 2 evenly matched teams coming into this game. The Cougars were the better team. They had outshot the Beekmantown 20-13, had the better scoring opportunities. And what they did out here tonight to hold down this high-powered offense of Beekmantown was just nothing short of remarkable. So the Cougars will move on to regional play as they will travel to Section 3 on Election Day 11-5.
Well, their parents better remember to vote before they head down to Syracuse.
Well, they have early voting, Calvin. They can do that. That can be done now.
Put somebody on grabbing that ball that went over the fence.
And what a night for the Cougars from Northeastern Clinton. And they just played an incredible game. I was totally impressed how the Cougars did out there on the field. And without a doubt, and I think, Calvin, you would agree, that Kaya McComb was the MVP of this game for the Cougars.
She's definitely a force to be reckoned with out there, Joey. You know, offense, defense, she can do it all, and where she is at a particular moment impacts the game greatly.
Well, we saw that. They started her back on the defensive end, and Coach Supernaw brought her back up to the midfield position, and it paid because they put the pressure on. And you could almost get a sense it was a matter of time before the Cougars would find the back of the net, and they did. And then as soon as that was done, Coach Supernaw brought her back into the sweeper position, and I kind of thought after that goal there'd be a lot more pressure from Beekmantown, and quite frankly it was the Cougars who were playing desperate soccer in the sense they were playing as if they were down they were trailing 1-0. They kept the pressure up. Beekmantown did get a couple opportunities coming down, but the defense was there for the Cougars. So a great job, and congratulations to Coach Supernaw, to the assistant coaches Tim Atott, McKenna Hunter, Rick Hunter, and of course Nick Trombley. And we have the presentation of the trophies.
For 2019, Section 7, Class 2 champions, Northeastern Clinton Cougars.
And fittingly, Kaya McComb, Marley Sample, as well as Brinley LaFountain all go out there to grab the championship trophy. And what a big win for the program.
Yeah, just they well coached. They don't just automatically keep the pressure on. You know, Coach Supernaw and his assistants made sure these guys kept their heads in the game and didn't sit back and relax, as you've said many times. That they kept playing like they were trailing and not like they had the lead.
And you're right, that starts with the top. So Coach Supernaw, just an awesome job with your coaching staff, what you did down there. And congratulations to the girls. They listened. They played they had a goal coming in here. They had a game plan. They stuck to the game plan, and that's why you're watching this moment right now as the Northeastern Clinton Lady Cougars are the sectional champions in Class B here at the Plattsburgh State Fieldhouse Sports Complex.
You've been watching the NFHS, and don't forget the Class B championships will be on starting at 8 o'clock, and there'll be somebody from the NFHS to catch these Cougars when they play in Syracuse. So keep your eye on the NFHS, and you'll be able to see all the games right through the championships. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Jed. And we're going to sign off from Plattsburgh State.